What's good with y'all? What's poppin'? It's your boy Simba. You feel me? Hopefully you see it sunny behind me. The sun says, "Hey, I'm here too." You feel me? You swaggin'. Today I want to speak on this this thought that just keeps on coming to me. I remember this one time I was talking to this girl, and she was like, and I was talking about God and how I appreciate God and I love God so much. And she was like, how could you be so into a God that instead of be jealous, a jealous God? What type of God is that? At the time, I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was just like, he's God. He's the only one should be worshipped. Come on. But like that still kind of bothered me because I felt like she just walked away like, all right, whatever. I ain't like that. I ain't like that. But now I'm glad that I was still like on the side of God regardless. But as I've grown through the years and recently, learning about the whole story about how in heaven all the angels were there and God was up there and God wanted to create humans and wanted the angels to guide the humans and the devil, who's now known as the devil, Satan, Lucifer, whatever, he rebelled and said, I'm not gonna bow down to a human or guide anybody. I'm much too great for that. I'm a perfect angel up here. And then God ordered the angels to rebel against God, and they were defeated in the war in heaven, by Archangel Michael and the angels that God put against him. And they were all struck down here, all a third of them. So going back to that question that she asked, she was like, how could you worship a God that gets jealous? He calls himself a jealous God. And back in the days, I just said, well, because God is God, and he should be the only person worshipped. But now I'm really understanding it from a different perspective. The reason why God doesn't want you to worship any other gods is because there are no other gods. It's just him, who's God, and the rest are angels. And the angels that lost in the war in heaven, those are the ones who proclaim themselves as gods, but they're not gods. They were just angels at best. At best, they were angels. So God doesn't want you to worship angels because you think that they're gods. And another thing is, all the angels were in heaven. The reason why they had the war in heaven was because God wanted to make humans. He wanted to make you humans, me humans. And these angels are like, what? Humans? What? These same ones that you call God are like, what? Human? What? I don't respect them. I don't like them. Matter of fact, I don't even like them that much more because you thinking that I'm gonna bow down to a human. Like, what? And God was, the iniquity, the disobedience that was built in them, turned them away from God and God's plans. And so they put up a fight and they lost the war in heaven and were struck down to earth. So God doesn't like when you worship other things as God because they're not gods in the first place. At best, they're angels. And the at best angels who lost in heaven, not even the angels who won. you know. The ones who are stronger want to be considered as gods. The ones that lost, and they're down here because they didn't want to guide humans, you and me, to a peaceful and a happy life. They wanted to be worshipped and above humans. And so also these, gods that may be worshipped, they have a vendetta against humans. So you're worshiping something that has a vendetta against humans because humans were the cause of, actually, iniquity and disobedience was the cause of them getting put down here. But if there were no creation of humans and the plan to have angels guide them into prosperity, they would all still be up there in paradise and bliss. But now they're here, they're down on earth, with all the bliss, taken away, all the heavenly divineness taken away from them. And sure, they're more powerful than us as humans, because they're still angels. But at the end of the day, they're just angels. They're not gods. So, yeah, that's something I was thinking about. Like, I'm like, wow. That's why he's a jealous God. He's like, don't worship anything that you don't know its intentions, you don't know where it comes from, and you don't know why it's there. The only person you should worship is God. Period. Like, there's only one God. And even back in the day, to the beginning, there was only one God, and the rest were angels. So, worshiping at best angels that lost in the war in heaven is obviously diabolical to God and disrespect, And even some people, they may worship other people who are gods in their life, or other humans, people who can give them a certain satisfaction. Like, that's why the Bible says don't have idols, don't worship people, don't worship man, because man will disappoint you most of the time, even whether it's your kids, your parents, your friends, your cousins, brothers, everything. And at the end of the day, the only person who could help you get those answers is God, because he understands the pieces of the puzzle. He understands the ins and outs of the pieces of the puzzle. So, and the only person who could speak to God is baby God, Jesus. So, and that right there is a really big thing too. It's a really big thing too, that the only person who can speak to God, the only person who God speaks to is baby God, which is Jesus. And yeah, but that girl, saying, how could you worship a God that gets jealous? It's it makes a lot more sense to me why that's the case, because he's saying, how could you worship something that doesn't have your best interest, when I created you to fulfill your maximum potential.